Hey everyone, welcome back to the Into the Woods podcast and our segment of The Path Less Traveled. I'm Rachel McGowan.
I'm Kara Sage.
And today, if you are listening to this in real time, is May 2nd. We have had a wild week from an astrology perspective. It's a week 9 in numerology. So we're talking about taking stock of what doesn't serve us anymore, completion energy, checking off your to-do list. And with that has been some really crazy astrology, namely Uranus has left Taurus and has now gone into Gemini after 7 years. So we'll talk about what that means. I'm sure you've heard those words being thrown around this week,
Yeah.
but it's been a big shift. And then two things that happened as of yesterday, May 1st. We have the ancient Beltane festival, which Kara will get into as she always does with her Wheel of the Year, what that festival is all about. And then we have a full moon in Scorpio that happened yesterday. And, Scorpio is that intense, sexy energy. So we're going to talk about all those things and what it means for all of us as a collective, individually, as we get through the energy this week and upcoming.
Love it. So let's get into Beltane. Let's start with that, Rachel. So as one of the parts of the Wheel of the Year that we've been talking about, let me get my handy dandy chart out. Beltane, and this marked the beginning of the warm half of the year. So the ancient people used to, namely the Celtics, this is what I'm talking about, those different tribes, they would divide the year into the warm and cold half seasons like we do. Beltane starts the warm half of the year, and it was when a lot of people a long time ago would take their yearly bath, maybe, if they didn't get around to it that much. So married at this time, it was nice to have like celebrations outside. You were maybe clean, felt a little better than other parts of the year. Higher part of that fire energy. There were bonfires lit all over. I'm sure you've all seen the depictions of the maypoles. So we know this is May Day. Everybody kind of knows May Day, but we don't really refer to that as Beltane, which is where it comes from. So this is the point of the year. It's actually in opposition to Samhain, which is Halloween. So they're exact. So we call this half-a-ween, halfway to Halloween. These points is where the spirit world is the closest. The veil is the thinnest. So at Halloween, be more ancestral, kind of spooky vibe, whereas here it's more the fae, fairies, little trickster energies, little playful energy. The veils are, thinner, and we're feeling that. So as about this is fertility, fire, passion, because we've gotten into this first part of the year and we're really now making headway into that warm half. And so we honor the fire and the growth and what's blooming around us. A lot of people wear the flower crowns in their hair. The single women would dress in their white gowns and go around the maypole and kind of look for men. And it would be kind of a fun celebration. But there's a little bit of a heaviness with the veil being thin. There's a real spiritual, ghostly even feeling that accompanies the fun and the fire.
Love. Yeah. I don't know. What do I want to say about this? It's an exciting time. You can feel that this energy is a little bit heavier just with things that have gone on this week. But my daughter is born on May 1st. So her third birthday was yesterday. Her third birthday was yesterday. And we went to this great little May Fete festival at the school she's going to be going to. And it was very much the vibe of what you're talking about of, kind of this lighter energy, despite the fact that there is a lot of inner work going on this week as we kind of have that last moment where we're spending that time thinking about, okay, we're at this crossing point, we're at this crossroad, we're at this threshold of moving into, like you said, the warmer months where things feel lighter and spring is truly here and all of those things that represent new beginnings and rebirth. But as always, before we move into that and we live in that energy, what are we needing to take stock of and release and move through so that we can step into this new energy with, positivity and all the things that are serving us.
Exactly. And that's where this Scorpio full moon comes in. Isn't it amazing that the full moon is occurring exactly on Beltane this year? And we
Love.
have Scorpio water. So we have the fire and water, which
Mm,
can but can work together. So this Scorpion full moons are always about releasing. It's about what is coming up under the surface, right?
mm-hmm.
What shins, what thought patterns. And when I say releasing, when I say endings, people get scared. Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to lose my relationship? Am I going No, it's really more about the patterns behind them. So if there is a, difficult pattern in your relationship or something within yourself that you keep doing as in a self-sabotage manner that's keeping you from abundance or living your best life, this is being illuminated. You don't have to get rid of anything that you don't want to, but what you do have to do is honestly look at yourself, and the universe is going to go tap, tap, tap. If you're not doing this, we're going to make you feel it now. We're going to flood these waters with that fire and get you to realize that you need to release some of this that isn't serving you. So water is also emotional. We feel it deep down. That Scorpio's really, really deep, mysterious energy. And it's
Right.
what needs to come to light. And with the tarot, that's like the moon card. It's what's underneath the water that we're not seeing, that we need to kind of go in and do that shadow work. The goddess that does come up to me for this is Hecate. She's very
Mm,
these days. You can say her name lots of ways. I usually say Hecate, but she is the darker goddess, a shadow goddess of this inner work that we're doing. But she is
mm,
not there as a guide. She is there. She can walk between worlds. She is the initiator into crossroads. She carries the keys and she helps us move through that. Even if it feels
mm.
heavy, she's walking us through that. So I think that she's a perfect person to kind of maybe dive into when those emotions come up. What needs to be released? What am I holding on to that isn't serving me as I walk through this new blooming beginning into this warm, exciting half of the year?
Yeah, I am all for it. I'm really feeling before we shifted into May of wanting to really take stock before we've made this transition. And to your point, like endings, completions, like it doesn't have to be scary. And sometimes surrendering is the growth. I mean, that's what self-development is. There's when you are transitioning in a self-development place into your higher self or your next level, it is not comfortable, obviously, because your mind, body, spirit recognizes that you have outgrown whatever it is that isn't serving you anymore. And so naturally, it feels like it doesn't fit. It feels like it's not in alignment. And as people, we want to be comfortable. We want that stability. I mean, if you're a Taurus season, that grounding energy, that stability, like we want to live in that space. But when you've outgrown it and you're ready to move into the next level, it's supposed to not feel great. Because if it felt great, then why would you shift into this new version of yourself? So it
Exactly.
is uncomfortable, but, if you want to get closer and closer to the things that you want in your life, to be the person that you want to be in this life, to live out whatever purpose you're here in this lifetime to achieve, then you have to take that leap of faith. You have to surrender. You have to trust that it's all going to work out.
You do. And it doesn't have, like we're talking about, it doesn't have to be scary. You can take this in bite sizes. So, for example, I've been getting a lot more different types of opportunities for work, different types of
Mm,
clients, more business than I normally have. It was a little slow during the winter coming into this, and meeting different people, even, and wondering,
mm,
okay, I have to get rid of the other people in my life, but where do they fit in this new dynamic? And it could just be a section of work. It could just be, a client that you have regularly, something like that. But it's fitting those pieces and what is appropriate and what is serving you moving forward. You talked about the Taurus energy. Well, in Taurus season, that's where we ground. So in Aries season, we have that fire of, hey, here's this energy, here's this excitement, but Taurus is what can hold. And Beltane is really that doorway that Hecate helps
mm-hmm.
through to say, is this sustainable for you? What do you need to let go of in order to get this abundance and allow it to hold?
Right. Yeah. So if we look at these things that are happening, so as I mentioned, we're in a week 9. So as we've said, it could mean endings, it could mean closure, but it's also what wisdom have you obtained, or what from a spiritual perspective is coming in for you, that is from your guides, or that's some sort of enlightenment as you're shifting into this next version of yourself. So as I was saying, it could be just not putting up with something anymore. It could be about thinking things in a different way. It could be releasing control in some way of something and being like, hey, I need to delegate this, or I'm just not going to hold on to this energy that really doesn't belong to me. And then watch how quickly the universe is going to respond to the fact that you've made these shifts. And as you said, you make these little shifts and things will just start coming in. The same thing has happened to me this week, where I have been really working on that surrender energy and releasing what's no longer serving me. It, like, within 3 hours the other day, 3 different things came in. It was crazy. Like, it still is like, oh my God, this stuff, this is real life. This stuff really works. Manifesting is so real, but it's so true that if you can just be like, hey, chill out, it's all going to work out. Just move, just move with the energy. And as you said, Beltane is this fire energy of becoming. The Scorpio full moon is about transformation. And then this week 9 reminds us, like we've been saying, in order to move forward into this becoming, into this idea and this being of transforming into who we want to be, we have to release something. And that's where, the energy is very supportive of all of that going on this week.
It is. And all 3 intense energies, right? A 9 is an intense energy. Scorpio's intense, as well as Beltane. I mean,
If you haven't felt this, you're living under a fucking rock. Like, for real.
I can really test the waters when I see what my clients are coming in with, right? Because seeing people walk in with that energy, not understanding it, work through it in their own life. So, I'm seeing and feeling this on a very grand scale. And I think that all of those energies are really intense, but they lead us to where we need to go. For me personally, this week, I've been taking more initiative. I've been embodying more of the fire. So I can tend to sit back for the invitation a little bit. You know this about me, Rachel, right? But I've decided to take a little bit more initiative. What if I just do what I want to do? What if I just steer the direction the way I want it to go? And I'll allow from there. So I feel like that's kind of where I'm at this week personally, and it's going to look different.
Yeah, I think some good maybe reflection questions to think about for this energy that's going on. What chapter is ending? And what do you want the new chapter to read like? Are you happy with the continuation? Are you like, no, this piece ends and I'm really excited to see if it does, what's to come? What habit, identity, maybe even grief is ready to be honored and released? And what are you carrying that no longer belongs on the next part of your path? I love those questions, and I think they're really good. Whether you journal about them or not, I think, these questions really support the energy that's here, what this full moon is really asking us to think about as, we honor the season that we're in.
Absolutely. I've been doing a lot of candle work, lighting candles with intention. And I've been playing with asking a question and seeing what the flame does as well, and how the flame responds to questions. So that's a beautiful thing to do at Beltane during this fire festival time of the year. It's just a fun way to play, but at least honor that. What lighting a candle is so intentional and beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just a act. And if they don't want to journal and they feel like they don't have time to ask all those amazing questions that you just presented, they can do it in real time. You're driving and you see something or you think of something and you stop yourself there and redirect your thought, or think about that in that moment instead of, having to write it out or spending 45 minutes in a meditation. I think that if we can incorporate this into our lives, that's a really great idea. Another thing I recommend is every month on the first of the month, I blow cinnamon through my door as ritual. Just welcoming and prosperity. Nothing in particular, just blowing goodness through my house and welcoming those energies. So that's another something that we can do sweet and light, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love that idea. There's some other ideas as well. You could do some sort of a closure ritual. You could offer some forgiveness to someone, decluttering your house. I mean, spring cleaning, Cincinnati, we're back to virtual because the weather can't figure itself out here. We were outside a couple weeks ago. It was like 80 degrees, and now it's like 50 degrees and questionable rain every day. So here we are. But, those are a couple things you could do, like a physical act of just even moving your body and just literally shifting the energy within yourself and your mindset by just doing things like this. Obviously, bigger things like releasing relationships, beliefs that have sort of run their course. So anything kind of in that realm of just releasing before we move into this different energy of, staying in this grounded space, but also evolving into, the person that we want to be is a good time to do that.
Absolutely. And even if people aren't consciously doing these things, something will move anyway. Something will
Mm,
be lodged, brought up, come to the surface that you need to look at. So it's coming for you one way or the other, but it's kind of nice to get a jump and a head start on these energies. And that's why we try to present this information so that you get not bombarded by anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a crazy week, but I feel really inspired and empowered, and I'm freaking ready. Like, you were saying that Aries fire energy and, that ready, of course, still in the fire horse energy. And I really feel like that has started to hit me now of just feeling a lot of clarity in where I'm moving forward. And I think this week has been really good. I've really spent more reflective time than I have on kind of what's to come. Now, mind you, this is my year 9. So
Week
there's
9.
naturally that going on all the time. And this is my month 4. April has been my month 4, which has been all about foundation work. And so it's been a lot of admin time, a lot of just sitting and thinking. But girl, now that we are in May, that is my month 5 of exactly what this Scorpio full moon is all about, of transformation and change and hopefully some travel. I don't
And
know where I'm
freedom.
going.
We're freedom in your life, right?
Yes. Yes. So
Yeah.
true. So
It's what
it's
we're all wanting.
yeah, and from a universal perspective, being that it's a year 1, May represents 6 energy, about self-care, nurturing your relationships, about love. It it doesn't just have to be about, your partner and your family, but it can also just be about yourself and really honoring what you love and nurturing that now that you've spent the time really thinking about in this week what it is that, you know, is going to serve you as you move forward. So, spend some time taking care of yourself, doing the things that you love with or without people you love, and, just enjoy the season that we're in. And hopefully, wherever you are, the weather is getting better.
Fire is creative, right? So just those
Yeah.
creative projects, those hobbies we've put off, learning that bringing that fire within us out. And that's what's coming up in a lot of my readings, that people need to bring the fire within them out in order to get on their highest path, to align with their highest timeline. And I think people are starting to feel that stirring more than ever and get excited about it. So that is my wish for you, that you get out there, release something, and use that fire to move ahead creatively.
Love it. If we could leave with one little ritual, okay? If we're going to get a little witchy, I think this could be fun. So, if you really want to honor this fire festival and this turning point that we're in, light a little candle or make a little small fire, okay? And I want you to write down one fear, one false story, one version of yourself ready to be shed, and offer it to the flame. And then I want you to ask, what wild truth am I ready to live?
Ooh, wild
Like,
truth. It is a
wild truth. Let's be unapologetic. Let's get crazy.
Where are you holding yourself small? Because now's not the time. Now is not the time to be small. So let's
No.
on
No.
paper.
And I just
Yeah.
read, as you know, in our little Rooted and Rising book club, the book that we just finished is called The Big Leap. And what he talks about is we all have this upper limit problem where we have these different zones that we're in. And the greatest, best zone we can be in is our zone of genius, which is above our zone of excellence, where a lot of us live in this zone of excellence all the time, where, we're really good at whatever we do, we're thriving in it, but it's a very comfortable and safe place to be. and it may not be wild as we were kind of talking about. And so where are you limiting yourself and why are you staying in this zone of excellence, this comfortable space when you could be in this zone of genius? So, you know,
Yeah.
the zone of genius feels to me very much like this wild truth of like, if you could manifest your greatest dreams and that they would come true and there's no barrier to it happening, what would you do? If you weren't worried about what your family thought, if you weren't worried about money, if you weren't worried about whatever else it is that you're worried about, what would you do? What's the wild truth? I think that little ritual is a great way to really think about what's limiting you so that you can move into this wild, expansive dream life and just release what isn't serving you. Because if you're not living your dream, what are you doing? What are we doing?
It is really about embodying that, right? So we get the ideas,
Mm-hmm.
these
Yeah.
methods, and embody because we have to show up as that. It's almost like the fire cleansing and burning through that purification of stepping into that part of ourselves. So I love it. That is perfect.
Well, as always, Kara, thank you for your wisdom when it comes to the wheel of the year, when it comes to the astrology, our fellow Libra slash Scorpio, depending on whether you're in sidereal or tropical.
I'm a lot of
Same
both.
for
I'm a
me.
lot of both.
Same for me, though. I mean, those are your sun signs, and my rising is Scorpio or Libra, depending on which system we're looking at. And there'll be another podcast episode on the differences there. And if you don't know that there's two astrology systems, I'm about to shake some things up
This will
for you.
rock the world. It literally changed everything for me in 2020 when the world was already in chaos.
Oh God, girl, you find just the perfect times to really just.
I definitely walk into the fire. You know that. I walk right into the fire.
It's never a dull conversation with you, Kara. That's for damn sure. Well, thanks for being here, guys. We hope you enjoy this weekend and all the energy that is coming up. You know, we're entering a week 1, okay? This weekend, Monday. So release whatever you need to, do a little fire ritual, dance around, do whatever you need to, move your body, clear whatever doesn't serve you as we can step into this new beginning vibe and hopefully some stable, better weather ahead.
That sounds wonderful. And we will see you on the other side when we get there. Blooming and beautiful.
Okay, see you guys.